Young, you and I have known each other for 20 years, and so I'm really happy to be talking today about women in power. And I know for you, because I've seen it for 20 years, public service is a way of life. It's a calling for you. It's something that you love to do, and you just shine when you do it. I personally know that because you've been, you serve the area that I live in, Little Saigon. So
Yes.
before you ran for office, can you share how you got started in government as a staffer and as a community leader who had her own radio program or
You're
television
right.
program?
You remember that, right?
Yes.
Working as, in Ed's office, I had my television talk show for almost like 10 years. I was a television talk show host. But, first of all, let me say how great it is for me to be with you. And I want to also extend my welcome and greetings to everyone joining us today. And I heard that my good friend, Treasurer Fiona and Irvine's Vice Mayor Tammy will be joining us later, and you will get to hear from them. So I'm very, very delighted to participate in today's Women in Power leadership series. So thank you for having me. And Tammy, you're right. You and I go back like decades. So you are a young girl, and I was a young girl, and I'll continue to be a young girl since my
Yes, you are.
But during my days in college, which was USC, I was involved in various activities on campus. I think I studied accounting as my major, so I was very active in the accounting society. And but I was also very involved with Korean American Student Association, KASA, and also with KAC, which is Korean American Coalition. This is a nonprofit organization that was founded in early 1980 while I was still in campus, founded by 3 leaders, one of whom is my husband, Charles Kim, who later became my husband at the time, after I graduated. So just like KAC, its mission is focused on community advocacy, leadership training, political empowerment. And over time, it has grown to almost 20 chapter offices in major cities throughout the United States. And I was on the board and served as the president of the Orange County chapter. And while I was doing the community advocacy work, it was actually in early 1990 when I met Ed Royce. And it was through my husband, Charles. And at the time, Ed was a state senator, and I had just given birth to our second daughter, and I was staying home, getting ready to return to work. But after my initial meeting, Ed Royce asked me if I would join his team and help him with community outreach. So before I knew it, I was calling his district director and told her that, Senator Ed Royce asked me to call you. And the next thing I know, just come on board. And I started immediately. So I started in his district office in the state Senate, and then I stayed with him when he ran for Congress in 1992. And as you know, I worked in his congressional office for a total of 21 long years.
That's great. During that time, afterwards, you ran for office. What was it, a part of that experience that kind of prompted you to run for state assembly and now for Congress?
Yeah, I first ran for state assembly in 2014. At the time, my husband, Charles, really encouraged me to seek that office because after we saw in 2012 in Orange County, losing a Republican seat to a Democrat, they felt that, oh my God, we needed to have some candidate and run and try to put that back in the R column. And also my former boss, Ed Royce, he really encouraged me. So, remember that time I ran against a well-funded incumbent, and I won for the first time and became the first Korean American Republican woman to serve in California state legislature, especially from Southern California, from the Asian community, from Orange County. I believe I was the first. Then in 2018, Ed Royce announced that he was going to retire at the end of that term. Shocker to everybody because I personally did not anticipate it. But when I heard that, I decided to go for it. Having worked closely with Ed, being a key liaison to that 39th district, having raised my 4 wonderful children in the district, And I feel that this is my community. This is a community I know. I know the pulse of the community. I know what their needs are. I knew in my heart I can continue to provide the representation that the people of 39th District did come to know and appreciate. So while it was a very close race in 2018, and it was heartbreaking for me and my family and everyone who really supported me, I stayed involved in the community. And the policies that were coming out of Washington at the time, I knew I had to give it one more try. So I ran in 2020, and here I am.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you here, Young, especially for you to share how you got your start as a student in community activism. And many of the folks that are part of this program, our Cause Leadership Institute, are at that age. They're gonna meet their partner in life, just like you met Charles, and hopefully they'll run for office too. Young, if you could talk a little bit more about how you've been the first at many things. You're the first Korean women, probably district director, and you're the first of 2 Korean American women in Congress. Can you share a little bit about what your background looks like, and how your upbringing and the experiences that you had kind of shape who you are as a API woman in public service and politics?
It's really humbling experience for me as an immigrant and as a mother, to be serving and walking the halls of Congress and serving as one of the 435 members throughout the entire country. I mean, this is really a humbling experience, and I take it very, very seriously. But as immigrants, I think you and I and many of us who are watching us right now, I think serving our community and giving back to this country that has given us so much opportunity, it's naturally embedded in our DNA. Giving back is our DNA motto.
Absolutely.
So faith has always been my guiding principle. My mom was a strong woman of faith, and she taught me valuable lessons early on. And my family, let me tell you a little bit about how we came to Guam. Actually, Guam is where we first arrived. And I always think back to helping my mom, going down to the beach. She's telling me, pick up cans and bottles on the beach. And I thought it was just an act of cleanup. And, because on the weekends, a lot of people go to the beach and they party and then leave all the debris and trash all over the place. So I thought I was just helping her and just obediently picking up cans and bottles. But what she would do is go and recycle what we collected. And any money we made, we donated that to our church. Later, I learned that those small acts have contributed to building our very own Korean Presbyterian Church on that island of Guam, and it still stands. And to this day, on the campaign trail or in the community, I'm beginning to learn more about the small group of people that have come through Guam, now residing here in Southern California, and especially my Korean community. There are oftentimes people would come up to me and say, I know your mom. Oh. That really warms my heart. So you see, from that very humble beginning, now being able to represent and serve the community I call home for decades, and serving as a member of Congress, it really shows that the American dream is real and it's very much alive.
That's such a great story, Young. I mean, thank you for sharing about your mom. You're also a mom, and you talked about how you had your second daughter, and you're a mother of 4?
Yeah.
You're a mother of 4. So that's a huge job to be able to raise four successful kids here in the United States. Can you talk a little bit about how being a mom has shaped you as a public servant and how it informs your work every day as a member of Congress?
I always say that if I can raise my 4 kids and they turned out okay, I can handle anything. Tammy, you have kids, you are a multitasker. Seriously, throughout my life, I have taken challenges head on. There were ups and downs, and I've gone through the campaigns. I won some, I lost some, I never gave up. Always found a way to work through them. If there was a stumbling block in front of me, I try to run through it instead of trying to find ways to go under, over, or underside. Seriously, I was actually born in the year of the tiger too, so I'm known as a tiger mom. We women are naturally as mothers, we are creative. We are consensus builders. We are multitaskers. We know how to get things done. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
I've taken this mindset when I went to State Assembly in Sacramento and now as a member of Congress in Washington, D.C., to work with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to get through the partisan gridlock and find common ground to bring results for the people that I represent. And I found, despite what appears to be dysfunction in Washington or dysfunction in Sacramento, there are many number of people that went to Washington, that went to Sacramento to do the right thing for the right reason. So I'm trying to always be positive and find things that unite us rather than divide us.
Great. Well, the series is called Women in Power. And so I'd love to hear more from you about how you differentiate between formal and informal power. You have power in your position formally as a state assemblywoman and now as a member of Congress. What are ways that others like myself who may not be in elected office still have influence and create impact?
First of all, let me humbly say that I know I'm here as one of the first Korean American women in Congress because of the generations of women who came before me and fought for people like me to have a seat at the table and our voices be heard. You don't need to be an elected official to have an impact in your community. Find an issue or projects that you're passionate about. Join cause. It's a great organization. There are many other groups like KAC in my case. There is Taiwanese American Leadership Organization. There are many groups. Just look around and ask what you can do to be a part of making a difference in our community. Just be confident, speak up, and get involved. I think those of you who are attending today's seminar or webinar are doing the right thing. Find mentors, network, learn from others, and don't be afraid to ask for advice. And most importantly, never, ever give up.
Thank you, Young. And I think that never give up is so important, especially during these very difficult times. We're still fighting COVID-19. There are some things that have changed about how we interact. I mean, you and I are not able to be in the same room together, but we're still making a connection. So there are some things that were true before the COVID-19 environment. And there are some things that have changed about our society, about how we come together. Can you share about what you have learned about this year, about yourself and how you reflect on all the things that have happened, both bad and good, and things that you're trying to overcome as you look towards 2020, the rest of the year and beyond?
As you said, COVID-19 pandemic really showed each of us, regardless of who you are or where you come from, that anything can happen. And pandemic has hit each of us very, very hard at home, in businesses, and all across the United States, especially businesses. But the silver lining for me was being able to spend more time at home with my husband, Charles. I mean, for the last several years, it seems like I've always been constantly running for office, or when I was in office, always traveling back and forth. But through it all, I wonder if I ever stopped to appreciate my husband, who's really sacrificed a lot to support me and put Asian woman in front of an Asian man. That's hard to do for Asian.
That is very hard to do.
But he's always been there, pushing me from behind, pulling me from front, and always walking side by side, giving me the encouragement I needed. And so that during that COVID last year in 2020, despite how difficult it was during the campaign trail, we took the time every single day. We went on the walks every single day. While doing it, we also remember the picking up cans and bottles and doing the recycling. He would always refine-tune the golf clubs since we couldn't even play golf anymore. So he sharpened the bottom, and then he used it as a pickup sticks. So we pick up trash on the streets while we're hiking. So we continue to do what my mom told me. But now that more people are vaccinated and now we're going back to work, although we have a new mask mandate and so forth, but that's another issue right here. But now that I'm serving in Congress, I'm traveling back and forth to Washington and meeting with people. When I come back home, I want to make sure that I don't take spending those quality time with my family for granted. Family should always come first. And it's been a rocky start for not just me, but all of us starting this new 117 Congress, the way we started in January. I mean, it's been very challenging, but through it all, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people in Washington and Sacramento serving our communities for the right reason. So please do not be discouraged. I've learned one thing. It's really humbling experience to do what I do. And I will always, always remember where I came from, what my roots are. And I will never forget the first time I ran and the joy and the honor and the privilege I felt representing my community. So I will always be true to myself and always try to find common ground, work in a bipartisan way, as I've shown so far. You know, I'm really happy to tell you that I've been named the most bipartisan freshman among all freshman class in this Congress so far, and Axios has named me based on my work, the legislation that I introduced, and you know, everything put together. So I'm very, very thankful for that, and that's exactly what the community needs, and that's what I promised, and I will continue to deliver for the district and the people that put me to Washington.
Well, thank you, Young. I've seen you, you know, fight for our communities, all of our communities, not just the API communities, but all of our communities in Orange County for many years. And you are the same beautiful person that you were when I first met you, helping my father with his naturalization process that you are doing today as a member of Congress. So thank you for that. What I wanted to do maybe is to close out on one, you've given so much advice to our Leadership Institute today. Can you share one key advice that you would give to someone, you know, following us today, of what they need to do or keep in mind as they pursue leadership? So a particular leadership role in government, in business, or in the community, what would be that one thing that they should keep in mind, according to Congresswoman Young Kim?
Regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what profession you're in, whenever there is an opportunity for leadership conferences like this one, attend it, participate, raise your hand and ask questions. That will leave a lasting impression. If you sit there quietly intake the information that is being shared with you, you may walk away with learning something about it, but you're not leaving an impression. And especially with the speaker, if you want to connect with them. Mentorship is really important, as I mentioned. So now that I'm in a position that I'm in, I really emphasize mentor-mentee relationships. So if you're looking for a mentor, feel free to knock on my door. More importantly, very important short piece of advice: get involved, take risks, go for it.
Great. That's a great way to end. And I'll just recap what you said earlier. Family is always first.
Family first, God first. Yes. Yeah. And don't ever forget your root, where you come from.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Young Kim. It's so great to see you and connect with you. I can't wait to see you back here in Orange County in person.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you so I can give you a big bear hug.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.